People often ask me the same 5 questions. They ask me about money, they ask me about discipline, they ask me about success, they ask me about prestige, and finally, they ask me what I would tell a 30-year-old man who wants to build an extraordinary life. Instead of answering each person separately, tonight I will answer all 5 at once. And the first question is always about financial freedom. People think financial freedom means expensive cars, private planes, or luxurious villas. They are wrong. Those things are only consequences. Financial freedom is waking up in the morning knowing that nobody owns your time. Money is not the objective. Freedom is. I always looked at wealth with a very simple formula. Income minus expenses equals savings. Savings multiplied by time, multiplied by compound interest equals freedom. Most people underestimate compound interest because they only think in months. Winners think in decades. Imagine investing 1,000 euros every month for 30 years at an average annual return of 10%. You do not end up with 360,000 euros. You end up with almost 2 million because money begins working harder than you do. That is the moment your life changes. Build assets, not liabilities. Own businesses, investments, and opportunities that continue producing value while you sleep. Never depend on one salary. The person with one source of income has one source of risk. The person with 5 sources of income has options. Freedom is always built through options. The second question is about motivation and discipline. Motivation is exciting, but discipline is profitable. Motivation comes and goes. Discipline stays. There is a principle I love. Improve just 1% every day. It sounds insignificant. But after 1 year, because improvement compounds, you are not 365% better. You are almost 38 times better than when you started. Think about that. 38 times. Extraordinary lives are built through tiny improvements repeated consistently. I never waited until I felt inspired. I worked when I was energetic. I worked when I was tired. I worked after victories and after defeats. Every promise you keep to yourself builds confidence. Every excuse destroys it. Discipline is simply choosing your future over your comfort. Winners are not always smarter. They are simply more consistent. Consistency always defeats intensity over the long run. The third question is about success. People expect one magical secret. There isn't one. Success is thousands of intelligent decisions repeated over many years. I always believed optimism was a competitive advantage. While others saw problems, I searched for opportunities. While others waited for certainty, I acted despite uncertainty. Every mistake became tuition. Every setback became education. People often see only the result. They never see the years behind it. When I acquired AC Milan in the 1980s, I did not simply see a football club. I saw an international brand that could inspire millions. Over the following decades, Milan won dozens of major trophies, including 5 European Cups and Champions League titles under my ownership. That did not happen because of luck. It happened because excellence became the standard. Here is another formula for success. Vision multiplied by courage, multiplied by execution, multiplied by time equals extraordinary results. Notice what is missing. Luck. Luck is welcome, but it is never a strategy. The fourth question is about prestige. Prestige cannot be bought. Luxury can. Prestige is earned. Every single day, your reputation either gains value or loses value. I always imagined reputation as compound interest. Every promise you keep adds 1 point. Every promise you break removes 10. That is why your name becomes your greatest asset. Long before you enter a room, your reputation enters first. Expensive clothes may impress someone for 5 minutes. Character impresses people for decades. Respect everyone. Deliver more than people expect. Continue learning because every person knows something you do not. Never confuse confidence with arrogance. The more successful you become, the more criticism you will receive. Accept it. Criticism is often the price ambitious people pay. Smile. Continue working and let results speak louder than opinions. The fifth and final question is the most important. What would I tell a 30-year-old man who wants to build an extraordinary life? First, remember the 80-20 principle. In almost every career, roughly 20% of your actions will create 80% of your results. Find those actions and repeat them relentlessly. Second, protect your time because time is more valuable than money. You can always earn another million. You will never earn another year of your life. Third, choose your environment carefully. If the 5 people around you think small, eventually you will think small too. Finally, never negotiate with fear. Fear has destroyed more dreams than failure ever has. Think in decades, not weekends. Build a reputation before you build a fortune, because the reputation will eventually build the fortune for you. If I had to leave only one message behind, it would be this: believe in yourself before the world does. Work while others are resting. Invest while others are spending. Learn while others are entertaining themselves. Stay optimistic while others become cynical. Build wealth because it gives you freedom, not because it gives you status. One day people will call you lucky. They will never see the thousands of disciplined decisions that created that luck. And that perhaps is the greatest secret of all. But perhaps there is one last thing I have never said clearly enough. People often look at the end of the story and forget the beginning. They remember the businessman, the television owner, the prime minister, the president of AC Milan. They forget the young man who had no certainty that any of it would ever happen. When I was young, I learned something that stayed with me forever. Nobody is coming to save you. Nobody will knock on your door and hand you the life you dream about. If you want something extraordinary, you have to become extraordinary first. I remember working long before anyone knew my name. I sold ideas before I sold companies. I convinced people before I convinced banks. Many think business is about money. It is not. Business is about trust. If people trust your vision, capital eventually follows. If they do not trust you, even the greatest idea will die. My first money was never important because of the amount. It was important because it proved something. It proved that value can be created. Once you understand that you can create value once, you realize you can do it again, then again and again. That changes your entire mindset. Young people ask me, how much money should I save? I tell them they are asking the wrong question. The real question is, how valuable can you become? Because income usually follows value. If you solve 10,000 euro problems, you earn thousands. If you solve €1,000,000 problems, you earn millions. The market rewards people according to the value they create, not according to the number of hours they spend working. That is why I invested so much time learning how people think. Communication became one of my greatest assets. A brilliant idea that nobody understands is worthless. An average idea explained with passion can change an entire company. People also ask me about confidence. Confidence is misunderstood. Confidence is not believing you will never fail. Confidence is knowing that if you fail, you will build again. That is real confidence. Throughout my career, there were moments when everything looked impossible. Markets changed. Competitors appeared. Newspapers criticized me. People predicted my downfall more times than I can count. Yet every crisis contained an opportunity that others failed to see. While many people panic during uncertainty, entrepreneurs search for possibilities. History proves it. Some of the world's greatest companies were born during difficult economic periods. Why? Because problems create demand, and demand creates opportunity. Then there is Milan. People believed I simply bought a football club. No, I bought a dream. When I arrived, many people looked at AC Milan as a team with problems. I looked at it as a symbol waiting to be rebuilt. Success is never only about money. If money alone won championships, every wealthy owner would lift trophies every season. Instead, success came from culture. I wanted every player, every coach, and every employee to believe that excellence was not an exception. It was the standard. Winning once is difficult. Winning repeatedly requires an entirely different mentality. That mentality is built every single day, long before the final whistle. The same principle applies to business. People celebrate the contract. They never celebrate the thousands of meetings that made the contract possible. They celebrate the trophy. They never celebrate the years of training. They celebrate the fortune. They never celebrate the discipline. Success is always invisible before it becomes visible. There is another lesson Milan taught me. Talent wins matches. Culture wins generations. The greatest organizations are never built around one genius. They are built around shared standards that survive even when individuals change. If you are building a business, ask yourself every day, what kind of culture am I creating? Does everyone around me think bigger after meeting me? Do they work harder? Do they believe more? Leadership is not giving orders. Leadership is transferring belief. Another thing I discovered very early is that speed matters. Many intelligent people spend years waiting for perfect conditions. Perfect conditions never arrive. An entrepreneur who makes 8 correct decisions out of 10 usually beats the perfectionist who never acts. Action creates information. Information creates better decisions. That cycle repeats forever. People often ask whether success brings happiness. My answer surprises them. Success does not create happiness. Purpose creates happiness. Success simply gives you more responsibility. Once you have built something meaningful, your duty is no longer only to yourself. It is to the people who believe in you, work with you, and trust you. That responsibility should inspire you, not frighten you. And finally, if I could speak directly to every 30-year-old man watching this today, I would say this: do not waste your best years trying to impress people who will forget your name tomorrow. Spend those years building skills, build discipline, build your reputation, build your health, build your character. Money can disappear. Companies can be sold, markets can crash. But the person you become can never be taken away from you. That is your greatest investment. If you become exceptional, opportunities will spend the rest of your life looking for you. So dream without embarrassment, work without excuses, lead without fear. And remember this: life does not reward those who wait. Life rewards those who build. One decision, one opportunity, or one conversation, or one disciplined day at a time.